Hi, and welcome to our program. Today we have Capucine Chandon in the studio with us. She's the founder of Biophilia and Rewild. So Capucine is here to tell us about her projects, nature, and our relationship with it. Welcome, Capucine. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so let's get to know you a little bit better. Where are you from?
I'm from France.
And you've lived somewhere else also?
Yes, so I lived in France until I was 7, and then I lived in Luxembourg, and I studied in Belgium and in Denmark. Yes.
Yeah, so that's why you came here.
Yes.
How long ago was that?
I came to Aarhus 4.5 years ago to study. I was finishing my master in journalism in Brussels, and I came here to make a specialization in photojournalism.
Okay.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Biophilia was born. How was that?
Yes. Biophilia. So Biophilia was born a bit more than a year and a half ago. It was during the pandemic. And I received a grant from a European fund and Erasmus Plus fund. And they gave me this money, like a few people, they gave this money, and they said, what would you most like to do for your community? And that's what came up. That's the first thing that came up. I had a very, very, very big need for a deeper connection with nature, and I thought that's what I want for myself. That's what I wish for myself, and I know that this is going to benefit. I just had the intuition that it would benefit many other people who also had this need of reconnecting with nature. Yeah. So that's how it started.
Yeah, and that's a really good name because it's like the love for living things.
Yes.
What type of activities do you usually organize?
So we did a lot of different things, but mainly the idea was to spend time in nature together, no matter what we did or no matter where we would go. But we did several things like hikes. We went camping, of course. That was the most exciting trips, were the camping trips because sleeping outside and making a fire outside, making food on the fire is really something that bonds people, that brings them together. So what else did we do? I mean, of course, according to the season, if it's mushroom season, we would go mushroom picking, being very careful, of course, what we pick, berries and things like that. I usually try to go to locations where there's either a lake, either the sea, so that we can go swimming, because
no matter the season?
Actually, we have gone swimming. Yes, one time it was in October, November, also in March. So not in full winter, but I personally do that on my spare time. So yeah, I go swimming in deep winter. But yeah, we've been swimming also when it was pretty cold. And I mean, of course, only the people who want to go swimming, they go. But yeah, that's also very, part of the Danish culture to go winter bathing. And that's something I wanted to share with the people. Yeah.
And how was it like organizing your first trip, your first event in the middle of the nature?
The first trip was amazing. So the first trip was in a region called Sørhøjlandet. It's south from Silkeborg, and it's a region that is really full of lakes and beautiful forests. And I know the area because I know a Danish family who lives there. And
I recommend the place, or how did you find it?
I knew the place. It's next to a lake that I knew that I had already been swimming in, and it's a very famous hike that we walked from Silkeborg to there. It's called Vras, and it's called the Natursti, and it's an old railway that goes from Silkeborg to Horsens, and now it's been transformed into a cycle path. Okay. And also just a bike path, a walking trail. Mm-hmm. So we walked along there, and I mean, this first trip was just magical. It was beautiful. We took a bus to Silkeborg, and then we walked. I think it was like 19 kilometers, so it was quite a walk.
How many people were there?
Maybe 12. 10 or 12. Yeah, and the anecdote is that out of 10 people, 10 or 12 people, I think we were 7 different nationalities.
Yeah, so that's kind of also the target group?
Yes, definitely. So the target group happened to be, of course, I mean, how I created the project was basically to make a Facebook group and to invite my friends in, hey, who wants to spend time with nature? Spend time in nature. And it grew very organically from the initial people who were in there, who were, of course, people like me who are young and who some are Danes, some are internationals. But there's, I would say it's 50-50, but there's a lot of internationals who joined the event, first of all, because it's in English, because there's internationals in the group, so it's more easy to access for internationals. And also maybe because of the fact that not all Danes, but most of the people who grew up here, they already have either a family, either already a group of friends that they do already go camping with, or that they see on the weekend in their spare time. So there's also some people who join who are from here, but definitely there's more people who are new to Aarhus who join.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you were telling us about the first time, your first trip. Do you have any stories that you would like to share? Some inspiring moments?
Yes. So I think the first trip was really magical because that's how I met Angela, who became my partner. After that, she heard about the event on Facebook. And she joined, I think, a little bit last minute. And we met in the bus and we started talking, and she's French. But that's not at all why we connected. I don't know why we connected, but we just had a really, really beautiful connection. And it was just really, really funny. It's a really funny anecdote because she's really, the typical woman who grew up in Paris. She's the typical city person. She grew up in a very big city. She never went, she had never been camping. Mm-hmm. She had maybe been once on a hike, but she had zero experience of actual nature. And she had zero equipment. She had just, a shopping bag, and she didn't have a sleeping bag. She didn't have good shoes. But she had such an enthusiasm and an energy that, she walked the 19 kilometers as easily as anyone else. And I think she brought, because she didn't have a sleeping bag, she brought a ski, a ski suit. It was in July. And so
she was wearing it.
She was wearing it, and she was super hot. And she brought she made a cake. She made a brownie. For everybody just brought sandwich and snacks to share, of course, but no, she brought a whole brownie. She was carrying it,
everything in the bag.
In her bag, for the 19 kilometers. And it was just it's just a really good example of of how, you know, and when we arrived at the camping spot, she's the first one who took the axe. She had never, you know, cut wood before, but she was so enthusiastic
that's what matters.
You know, and that's the thing that is beautiful with this story, is that everybody can join, and it's really about having a good time, and you don't need to be, you know, we don't do like super extreme activities. It's mainly about the quality of the time that we spend together more than what we actually do.
Yeah. And what about, was it hard to get people interested in that? Like, for instance, Angela, I think it's a special case because she was super enthusiastic.
Yes.
Other than that, do you think it's hard to get people interested in reconnecting with nature? Or is it like something that comes more naturally already?
It depends for who, I would say. For myself, my own experience is that the group, you know, it's boom. It was insane. Like the first event that I organized, there were like more than 20 people, and the group in the beginning we were like 10 people in the group, and I mean it just grew like exponentially very, very fast because people just added their friends. I think there was very, very strong need of at least my community, the people I was already in contact with. There was a very big need, and I think it's definitely it's in us. You know, this we come from nature, and whether we are aware of it or not, we not only do we need it, we just love being there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you think like it's really needed, this connection? What can it give to us?
Peace of mind, relaxation, perspective on life. Knowing that we are part of something that is alive, that is bigger than us. It makes us worry less about ourselves in a way.
Yeah, we see how small we are.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's all connected.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely, it's this connection because, it makes you feel less isolated. Definitely, when you can actually relate to not only, you know, other animals, but also trees and the sun and the water. When you can actually feel at home there, it changes everything. Yeah.
And it seems like you have such a special connection. How did that happen? Did you grow like this? Were you always so connected with nature?
Well, I would say I also grew up in big cities. I was born in Paris, and I grew up in Lyon, which is the second biggest city of France. But I had a very big garden when I was living in Lyon. So until I was 8, I had this very big garden in the middle of the city. But because it was so big, this garden, it was actually like a paradise for us, because we could be there all day for hours without being watched by our parents. So I had this a very, very big, you know, it was my territory, it was my kingdom. Like I could be totally free there. I could spend as much time as I wanted there, and nobody was checking on me. And I think it's really what matters. So I had this connection as a child, but I lost it when I moved to Luxembourg and I became a teenager, and all I cared about was, you know, whatever happened in high school and all these things, and going out. And even when I was a student in Brussels, I never spent time in nature. I never went for a walk in the forest, even if I would maybe go to parks sometimes in the summer, but I was totally disconnected. I totally forgot this bond. And
how did you get it again?
Yeah, that's the thing. Denmark, I think. I think, okay, yeah, the story is that I was studying photojournalism, and I was doing a friend told me about a Danish thing that is called the forest schools. So it's forest kindergartens. So it's kindergartens where children spend most of their time in the forest. And I don't know why, but this just caught my attention like so much. And I started looking at some documentaries about it or some articles, and it just made so much sense to me that I just knew intuitively that, wow, this is the best environment for a child to learn. It's the forest, nature. And doing more and more research, I decided I wanted to do a photo project about a family who has a connection with nature, because it became so clear to me that it's important to have that relationship with nature when you grow up. Mm-hmm. And that's how I met this family that I told you about, who lives really close to nature. And that's really when I realized how much I missed nature.
It really opened your eyes.
Completely. Meeting these children, that's totally what reminded me of how much I missed it, this connection.
So good.
Yeah.
And you mentioned your background in photojournalism. Do you think that's also related? Like, do you think because of that, you see things a bit differently? That's something that you put in Biophilia?
Like, how does my background in journalism...
Mm-hmm. Photojournalism and details, seeing things from another perspective, to try different angles, different things.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I get the question.
Sorry. The background in photojournalism. Yeah. You're taught to see differently, think differently. Yeah. Like, for instance, this Biophilia project, it didn't exist before. So do you think that was something that it kind of helped you get the idea, get the inspiration, see the thing that you wanted to do as like, okay, I have a way of making this happen actually?
I mean, I don't know if my background in photojournalism taught me to, like, I think it's really that the meeting this family, okay, that created this idea of reconnecting with nature. It was through meeting them and observing them. Of course, I lived with them. That's the thing, that as a journalist, and it was a long-term project, so I lived with them for 1 month. So that's definitely, but it's also my approach. I really like to be immersed when I tell a story or when I do a report. So yeah, that's just my approach, and definitely that's what led me to want to create this reconnection. Yeah,
and it also kind of led you to mindfulness.
Yes, so mindfulness, that even happened before. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did that happen? Do you want to tell us a little bit more about it?
Okay, so meditation. I think I started to practice yoga already when I was in Brussels, because I was quite stressed. I was very stressed during my studies, and I had met someone who was practicing yoga, and I think I just wanted to reconnect to my body and feel less stressed. So in the beginning, I only had a perspective of yoga as a physical practice. But then in Aarhus, I went to an event at the Dome of Vision that was a yoga and meditation free class, I think. And that's how I got introduced to meditation. I had no idea what meditation was. I had no idea about mindfulness. But after that yoga class, what, I didn't even know that I meditated. I just came out of the course and I talked with my friend and I said, wow, that was really nice, this meditation or whatever it was. And she said, yeah, I really like it, and I also meditate with this app. And then she tells me about this app. And I don't know, after that, like, there were many synchronicities, people telling me about meditation. And I come home to my parents and I find this book about meditation. I start reading it. And then I meet a person who practices meditation and who introduces me to his own practice, which was called heartfulness. And that's how I got introduced to the practice.
Okay, and you are a mental coach also?
Yes.
Correct?
Yeah, emotional.
Emotional?
Yeah.
Okay, what does that mean? What can you give to people? How can you help them?
Yes. So I studied yoga and meditation, and I also did a training course to become a mentor in heart coherence, and it's basically what I offer in my sessions is some tools in order to know oneself better, and in order to understand one's emotions and accept them, and release them, and that's a way of feeling better inside oneself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think that's also related to the connection with nature?
Definitely. I think, spending time in nature is therapeutic in itself. It can be done mindfully. It can also be done non-mindfully. There's, you can also
other ways
go to nature and not even connect with nature. So it's not enough to just be there. Yeah. But the first Biophilia event I organized was actually what you call a forest bath, which is basically the idea of connecting to nature with all your 5 senses. So we took off our shoes and we really, tried to feel the soil beneath our feet, and so touch, smell, sight, taste. Yeah. So really, breathing in and taking in the nature with your 5 senses. That's a mindfulness practice that is. It's also a form of medicine. It's called forest medicine in Japan. Yeah, it's very known in Japan.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And also, so if people don't go to nature, you also have the way to bring nature to people. And that brings us to your second project, Rewild.
Yeah.
How was that? What is it about?
Okay, so Rewild, it's funny because it actually was born from Biophilia, because it was one of the camping trips that we organized. We were some people around the fire, and we were talking about many things, life, and we started talking about, many topics like permaculture and the need of reconnecting with nature and having a more natural approach to life, and how much cities need nature, and how much we were a bunch of people from Aarhus, and we love our city, we love Aarhus, and wouldn't it be a shame, and would it be a solution to just leave Aarhus or leave, if everybody leaves the city? Is that a solution, or can we also bring nature back to the cities? So we that's how it started, and a week later we met again with the same people, and we met with Laura, who is one of the main members right now also, and she had a passion also, and we were quite a few people active at Institute for X. We knew the area, and we all thought we need more green down there, we need more nature down there. And basically the idea of Rewild is to support biodiversity in the city. By planting flowers, for example, because flowers are not only pretty, they are also food for the insects, and mainly the pollinators. And right now that's one of the biggest issues is the pollinators who basically allow us to have food. They are not finding food enough because there's not enough flowers, because there's too many pesticides. So yeah, providing food and shelter for insects and pollinators, and just biodiversity in general.
So both projects kind of complement each other.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. It's like the yin and the yang.
Yeah. And what type of support did you get for the projects? Like, do you have partnerships, financing?
For Biophilia or for Rewild?
Both of them?
So Biophilia, initially it came from that Erasmus Plus grant. We didn't get any other funding after that. But Rewild, I mean, it's a volunteer organization as well. And we received different fundings. I mean, I can talk about our last project, which is Westerbro Tor. It was a call from the municipality, the Aarhus municipality, who made an open call because they wanted to transform the square into whatever it could be for a temporary moment, so for the summer. And Institute for X applied, and they wanted to make a cultural space for people to use that would also be a green space. And that's how they asked us. They asked Rewild to join in the project and to take part of the green side of it. So the idea is that people can come and organize, have a concert or a movie screening or whatever, and it's for the local community. And so we jumped in the project, and that was funded, of course, entirely by the municipality. So that's just one example. I guess for each project we either find funding, either we've always found different things.
What about future projects?
I think right now we are very much into focusing on making spaces that are edible. So, for example, edible plants. What they call in permaculture food forests. But basically it's like an edible garden that also has a focus on biodiversity. So it would be beneficial for humans and for insects. Yeah.
I'm so sorry, but we are running out of time. It was a lovely conversation. Thank you so much, Capucine, for coming.
Thank you so much, Ruth. It was really, really nice to talk.
Thank you. And thank you for staying with us. Until next time.